Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Mortgage Leadership Outlook. I really appreciate you joining us again. So today I am so privileged to have with us the great, the legendary Carl White. Carl, we're going to bring you in here. Hold on. Let's figure out if I can figure out how to do it. There goes Carl. And there we go. We are together there. What's going on?
Boy, now there's handsome and handsomer. So
yes, that's what my mom used to tell me all the time, at least. So, So Carl, thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. Carl, it's funny. I all the other people that we've brought on as guests for the Mortgage Leadership Outlook, I've had a list of questions that I wanted to ask, and I've got some things I want to ask you. But as we were saying before, because we started talking and said let's save it, let's not talk about it here, because I just wanted to have a conversation with you. I want to have a genuine conversation with you, and I want to actually it's not just you and I, but everyone out here. And so listen, by the way, if you're joining us now, please do me a favor, like, share, invite. I'd love to know actually where you're connecting from. So if you can actually in the chat box, let me know what city and state you're connecting from. I would love to hear where people are joining us. So please enter your city and state wherever you are. If you're connecting on YouTube, you're connecting on Facebook, let us know where you are. We want to just get a gauge of where people are connecting from. But so I'm assuming everyone knows Carl. Carl, and if you don't, Carl White is Chief Coolness Officer, right?
I believe I was in a drunken stupor when I came up with that name. No, I'm just kidding.
That's great.
I don't even drink, but yeah. So basically, I'm a branch manager of one of the top branches in the nation, and I'm also I have a training company for loan officers called the Mortgage Marketing Animals. So I kind of divide my time. It's pretty much about 50-50, but that's what I do. Yeah.
So listen, and here's why I wanted you on today, because listen, we know actually, your coaching platform is something that's inspired so many different loan officers out there to not work harder. And that's one thing actually I always found interesting about you, Carl. And one of our interactions, and maybe you remember this, maybe you don't, because it had a very large impact on me and the way I think. I said actually to you, Carl, I want to do a list of the top brokers that do more with less. Those originators who actually have small staff and that are just hitting unbelievable numbers with those small staff. And you said, this is just not the way we look at doing business. We believe actually the best thing you should be doing is trying to make use of other resources so you can work less. And then you shared there's that originator, she actually was working her butt off, not spending time with her daughter, and then Suzanne is, I believe it.
Very dear friend of mine, Suzanne Downs. A remarkable story, and I just want to give all the credit to her. She's absolutely a remarkable person. But yeah, she was like most people, right? And myself included. When I first got started with this, as we're working these ungodly hours. And we think, to increase our business, we have to work even more ungodly hours, and that's simply not the truth. So, kind of, the three things that I always that for me that I focus on is both in my own personal branch, and in our training is traffic, team, and time. Traffic, team, and time. So, traffic is how do you generate these. How do you generate these referrals? Like, how do you get traffic? How do you get referral traffic coming into you? And then how do you have the team to help you handle that traffic? And then how do you manage the time? And you do manage time, by the way. How do you manage time so that you can do all that? And, ideally, like in our group, we advocate a 32-hour work week. And I think this last month, so as we're doing this, is it okay for me to time date this, the day that we're doing this?
Yeah, please, yeah.
All right. So here we are on April 14th, and the team that I get paid on, I think we closed, and this is just an approximate number, somewhere between 600 and 700 loans last month. and I do that in a 32-hour work week. So it's all about traffic, team, and time.
So just give me an idea within that team, the top producers, what kind of numbers are they doing?
Well, like I guess with any organization, the 80-20 applies, where you have 20% of the crowd producing 80% of the numbers, right? That's pretty consistent. But it's not uncommon for us to have somebody closing 60 loans, 50, 60 loans. I shouldn't say it's not uncommon, but some of our top producers are closing like 50 or 60 loans per month. So it's remarkable numbers.
That's phenomenal. I mean, but you said 23 hours. Those people are not doing the 23 hours a week.
Not 23, 32.
I'm sorry, 32. So
yeah.
They
actually many of them are Andrew. They are, because again, it's all about leveraging. Like it's all about the biggest mistake I think for loan officers is we think that all roads lead to us, and that's not the case. It's like the secret to any business is leverage. And we're leveraging other people. And trust me, they're leveraging us too. Like my team, they leverage me, right? They leverage me to drive the traffic. And then I leverage them to take that traffic and close on it. Yeah. And so it's all about leverage. It's not using each other, it's leveraging each other. They're borrowing. So like, dude, just like right here now, I'm borrowing your talents and you're borrowing my talents. That's what all great relationships are built upon. Yeah. And so the same thing with our team, we're borrowing their talents, they're borrowing ours. And then if we focus on the traffic part of it and the building the team part of it, there is no limit. I mean, you can close, dude. I remember when I was closing 10 loans a month, I thought, man, how do you do more than this? Because I guarantee I was busier. I was working more hours, spending less time for my family when I was closing 10 loans than having a team now that does 600-700. It's less hours now than ever because, again, leveraging each other's talents both ways.
So now, and is everyone meeting face to face in an office, like obviously until recently, or is most people doing remote work?
I'd say it's about 50-50. So I think this thing that we just went through with the coronavirus, again, as we're doing this here in April, we're kind of in the middle of it right now. I don't really think it's changed anything. I think what happened as far as going virtual was already happening. It was just happening we were heading in that direction, just at a slower pace. And I think all that happened with this pandemic and the government, closing down the economy for a period of time, all it did was become a catalyst to make everything fast forward even faster in that direction. So certainly the virtual, it's so much more efficient rather than meeting people face to face. Because again, there's no drive time, there's no waiting. And frankly, a big piece of meeting virtually is that if the meeting's not going so well, you don't feel awkward about leaving. Whereas if I'm having a virtual meeting and it's not going so well, it's a whole lot easier to say, hey man, well, great meeting with you. Man, boy, look at the time. I gotta go. And so it allows, it gives us the ability to bow out of a situation. But I'll tell you, man, so like one of my guys, so one of my guys. Okay, that was funny. I don't care who you are. That was funny. We got one of our guys, Roger McGuire, like the nicest guy ever. Lives about hour and a half south of me here, and he's one of the leaders in the branch. And Roger writes loans. So we're licensed in several states, but in this case, Florida and Chicago. And so Roger writes about half of his loans in Florida, which is where he's at, and about half of his loans from Chicago, where he used to live, I think like 4 years ago or so. And his business in Chicago, when he moved down here to Florida, his business up there has actually grown. And so he's been having these virtual meetings for years. It's just never been easier. Because originally, when you like a month or two ago, when you're asking for somebody for a virtual coffee appointment, it's like, well, why aren't we doing this face to face? And now that we had this thing come through, where it's totally okay to do a virtual meeting, I'm going to tell you right now, it's never been easier to schedule these virtual meetings with referral partners, and they've never converted better because now it's the norm now. And Roger has shown us that he converts at least as well on a virtual appointment, and he can have more of them per day because he doesn't have the drive time again. And again, if one's not going so well, it's easier to bow out of it and then move on to the next one. So the virtual appointments, they've never been more receptive. They've never converted better. They've never been easier to do. It's absolutely going forward. It's going to be the way that we're going to be teaching how to do all this stuff.
So now, were you always a big advocate of, remote working?
I was always a big advocate of what's the least I need to do to get to my desired results. Let me say it again. What's the least I need to do to get my desired results? Now, I don't want anybody to misunderstand this. So that's not saying what's the least I need to do to get away with it. That's totally uncool. That's a whole different conversation. But it's what's the least I need to do to get my desired effect. My desired effect is for people to have an amazing experience. What's the least I need to do to make that happen? It'd be like, Andrew, like right now, if we were sitting here side by side, you're a very dear friend of mine, very dear personal friend of mine. If you say, hey, Carl, man, I'm thirsty. Could you hand me a little bit of water to quench my thirst? Dude, as your brother and as somebody that admires you, I'd bring you a 5-gallon bucket of water, like I really want to do good by you. But you'd look at that 5-gallon bucket of water and say, dude, I can't even drink. How do I drink out of this? Dude, I just want a little cup of water. So it's what's the least I need to do to desired effect? What's the least I need to do for the desired effect of quenching your thirst? Bring you a little cup of water. I don't need to bring a whole 5-gallon jug. And so in our work, sometimes we think people measure us by what we do, and that's not it. It's what is the result of what you do? What's the least you need to do to give them an amazing result?
Listen, it's kind of like, well, no one wants a mortgage, but people want to buy a house and not have to come up with $400,000, $600,000 to buy that house.
Make it easy for me. Make it easy for me. That's like Quicken. I'm a huge fan of Quicken. And they might be one of your sponsors. Awesome company, right? Awesome company. Yeah. Awesome company. So what's that?
We love Quicken. Yep.
Yeah. And me too. I'm a huge fan of Quicken. And so if you look at Quicken, you go, all right, well, why are they number one? And this is just my own, I'm not giving your reason. This is just my own personal observation. I think they're the number one because they make it easy. They make it extremely easy. So if you look at all the ads they do on TV, it's all about Rocket Mortgage. Push a couple buttons and there's your mortgage. And I'm oversimplifying it, but they make it at least, to the consumer looks at it and go, man, that's easy. And that's why they're number one. It's not because they necessarily have the lowest rate or anything. It's just that they make it easy. And so I find that people, as long as you look, convenience out trumps everything else. Convenience out trumps price. How we know that every time I go to 7-Eleven, and buy a little thing of water here that costs me $2 that I can get at Walmart for literally 15 cents. Why do I do that? It's convenient. It's convenient. So understand that convenience out trumps everything else.
Agree. So listen, I want to shift and talk about the conversations we should be having now. Because listen, I mean, depending on what part of the country you're in, some parts of the country that people are connecting are worse hit than the others. I mean, here in New York, where New York, we're number one for everything, including the coronavirus. So, what conversations should loan originators be having with borrowers, with potential borrowers? Like, is it, should they just be acting like it's normal? Hey, we've got great opportunities. Like, what is the conversation like?
Man, I can tell you what the conversation is like. It's like right now, again, it's never been easier to connect up with your past database. And like, if you've been waiting for a reason, to connect up with your database, like what would I say? There's never been a better time. Like literally, there's never been a better time. I mean, there's no secret. And Andrew, you and I talked about this right before we went live here about how some of the loan officers, many of them, are having their best weeks, months ever. Like we took more loan applications this month than we ever have in our history in one single month. And so the conversation for the consumers, I would like one thing you have to be careful of is like, look, I do this class. It's called how to market during a crisis without looking like an uncaring jerk. Right. And that's real important. And rule number one, is when there's a crisis going and with your marketing, this is not about getting a cash grab. Like, this is not like, gee, how can I capitalize on this and have my best month ever? We want you to
hit the harp loans, right?
Yeah.
Not like a harp days.
Yeah. So look, we're not looking for you to have your best month, even though that's awesome. We're looking for you to have your best year, your best next 3 years. And so right now, it's all about connecting and going deep with it's about relationship building right now. So like if I was calling my past database, well, I can tell you what we're saying when we call our past database is like, it would go, hey, this is Carl White over at ABC Mortgage. I helped you with your mortgage last time, right? And the purpose of my call first, Andrew, is just to see how are you guys doing with everything that's going on. Now, it's really important to say, how are you guys doing with everything that's going on? Because let them insert in their own definition of what's going on. Because I don't know, did you just lose your job? Did you get laid off? Are you selling hand sanitizer? Come to find out, and you had pallets of it, and it's running off your shelves. You're making your best. So I don't know what your particular situation is right now today. And so I say, I just want to see how you guys are doing with everything that's going on, right? And then they'll tell you. Now, when they're telling me, I'm listening for purchase or refi opportunities, right? I'm looking for things that they're saying where I can help them out with that. But mainly, I'm just listening, right? Now, usually they'll also say something like, well, it's going okay over here, Carl. How about over with you? Look, never be negative, like ever. Like never, ever be negative. Like always look for the silver lining and all this stuff. One thing that I think's done me well is, like, my secret sauce is everybody's going through a storm, like all the time. Like everybody's life isn't perfect, right? Nobody's life is. Everybody has stuff going on. And I always like to think of it, Andrew, as like you see those posters of a storm and you see that one ray of sunlight coming out of the clouds. You want to be that ray of sunlight. And I know you are, Andrew, you personally are. We want to be that ray of sunlight. So when I have that conversation, hey, Andrew, let's just look to see, how are you guys doing with everything that's going on? Yeah. And you tell me, say, Carl, how about you? Well, the kids are this and that is this. And man, I don't know, man, we're going to have trouble keeping the door open. And I can't find any toilet paper. And man, it just sucks right now, right? Never have that conversation, like ever. Like it's okay to have that conversation, but with your friends offline, like when, you always want to stay positive. And then the other thing I would do right now, Andrew, is, man, the cash out debt consolidation. What a perfect time for that. It's never been better. I was just talking with Barry Habib the other day, and I think he said something like, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this number, but it's like the average home has 47% equity in it, like high, like real high. Yeah. And so in my conversation with my consumer, I'd say, purpose of my call to see how are you guys doing with everything that's going on. And then I'd say, after I listen to you, then I'd say, hey, Andrew, before you leave, man, hey, one thing I wanted to bring to your attention is a lot of people are reaching out to me. So I'm saying other people are doing this, so maybe you should too. That's what I'm really saying. Yeah. So I wanted to bring to your attention, a lot of people are reaching out to me about doing debt consolidation, refinancing. And this is, Andrew, this is where you take all of your payments and make them one lower, smaller payment, sometimes saving $200, $300, even $500 or more per month. Yeah. And Andrew, you may be eligible to skip a month's payment with this special program. Now, that's not the forbearance. That's just the typical refinance, skip a payment thing. Yeah. And so, hey, Andrew, is now a good time to see if it's a good option for you to save money each month and pay off your bills and skip a month's payment, or is tomorrow at 2:00 a better time for you? That's the conversation we're having right now.
It's great. So let me see if I got this. So, first off, it's just like, kind of a feeling around, hey, how are you doing with all that's going on? Just, you don't know actually if actually, they just lost their grandmother, or if they actually had a stockpile of rubber gloves and face masks. Yeah. So we don't know actually where they are. So you just put that out there because there is a lot going on. We know that for sure. Yes. Whatever they said, whatever you respond, listen and do not go to negative town. Do not actually, so they say how you're doing. You don't tell them actually how your kids are going crazy. Shh. Sorry. Kids are going crazy, and all these other things are going on in your life. You don't know actually if you're going to close deals, if you're going to be able to keep the doors. Don't go towards negative town, and then talk about the great opportunity that everyone has. That Barry was on here yesterday, by the way, talking. And by the way, he sends his best. When I mentioned actually having you tomorrow, it's just his eyes lit up, and you know how much Barry loves you. So
well, and it goes both ways.
Yeah. So basically, we have so those are the three elements of what we should be saying, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's and by the way, if you haven't called your past database in like 10 years, you go, well, I can't call them now. Now is the time to call them. Look, they don't know that you're supposed to be. I recommend calling your past database 4 times a year, but they don't know that. If you haven't called them in 10 years, call them. They haven't been sitting by the phone waiting for you to call, right? They don't know that you're supposed to be calling. Just call them. There's probably no activity that you could do that will help you create more loans, not just now, but future, than calling your past database with that simple script. And I'm going to tell you something, Andrew. The biggest expense that loan officers have in their business, we talk about ROI, which is return on investment.
Yeah.
The biggest expense loan officers have is COI. COI. And what COI stands for is cost of inactivity. Cost of inactivity. So we just gave you a great thing to do that will drastically increase the amount of loans that you're closing right now. And if you don't have a past database, like you're just getting started, it's okay. Call your friends, right? Call your friends. The old Tim Ibrahim thing of who would you invite to your wedding, right? Call your friends. Understand, we're not selling something to them. We're offering to help them save $200, $300, $400, or $500 more per month. It's a good thing to do for them or with them, for them. It's a good thing to do for them.
Yeah.
And so don't worry about what if I sound salesy. Look, that's like if you catch me on the side of the road and I got a flat tire and you got tires for sale, dude, stop. Right? I've got a flat tire. I need some help right now.
I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be salesy and stop and have to sell you a tire car when you got a flat tire on the side of the road. It's 110 degrees. You got no water. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. Like, dude. You're helping people. Yeah, you're helping people. You're helping people. Yeah. So don't let the COI, cost of inactivity, be the number one thing that's costing you your business. Go help some people. Go help them.
Yeah, listen, the most successful people in this business truly love helping people. Sure. And there should be nothing that stops you. Well, so I was talking to an originator who normally does a decent amount of deals, like 10 to 15 deals a month. I think
nice.
Yeah, it's a respectable number.
Yeah.
And he said this. He's in New York. He actually happens to have a lot of people that are in actually the hospitality business. And he's like, Andrew, everyone I'm calling is just fired. I'm shutting down the business. Fired, shutting down the business.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with that, when you're just every phone call you're getting actually something like that, like do you have the conversation and talk about the forbearance options? Like what do you suggest actually in that case when the people that you're talking to, everyone needs help and not help that you could help with a refinance opportunity?
All right, so here's the thing. That's a great question, brother. You're an awesome dude, man. I really like you. You're not just an awesome guy. You're a smart guy. Great question. So here's the thing. I get it. Here recently, credit scores have changed a little bit, right? And or not that the credit scores, what we're allowed to take in. Like the pie has gotten the percentage of clients I can help might have decreased a little bit here lately. Like I've heard people like, hey, if anything less than a 680 on Govy loans, I can't do right now. Just understand it's a level playing field, and that happens for everybody, right? So it's okay. Look, we can't help everybody. You can't help everybody. You never could, right? Somebody had a 450 score. It's likely you couldn't write them a loan that month, right? Doesn't mean we can't help them, I guess, but we can show them how to, get on the straight and narrow here. And if they've been through a difficult time, perhaps we can refer them to somebody that can help them with credit restoration, if that's allowed. So we never could help everybody. So I get it. You're picking up the phone right now and you go, well, I hate to call because what if I can't help them? Just listen to them, right? That alone will be a big help to them. Just listen to them, right? Give them advice. Can you refinance everybody? No. I can't either. But let's say if a building was on fire and there's 50 people in there, and Andrew, it's a big fire, brother. We can't get them all out, right? We can't get them all out. This might be a bad analogy. I don't want to be uncool, but it's what came to my head. Can't get them all out. But dude, I think we can save 10. I think we can save 10 of them. So do we walk by that building and go, screw it, we can't help them all, so I'm not going to help anybody? Or do we help the 10 out that we can help out?
Well, you just came up with that analogy?
Well, yeah, I wish that's awesome. With people with burning flesh and everything's not exactly right.
That's great. No, but like that is so powerful right there.
Yeah, you can't help them all. Help those that you can. Help those that you can. So pick up the phone and make a phone call. You go, well, what if somebody needs help and I can't write them alone? Hey, point them in the right direction. Tell them what they do need to do. Tell them, here, go do that. Like, I never tell somebody, no, man, I can't help you. I go, yes, I can help you. And here's what you need to do first.
Yeah.
And get your score up from 450 to 680 and call this guy or call this lady. Maybe she can help you do that, but help those that you can. You can't help everybody, help those that you can.
Fantastic. So
we owe it to them.
I'm going to my mentor / dad he just asked this question. So we talked about actually what we're doing with our past clients, people actually who we should be talking and touching 4 times a year. But so my dad says, as Joel Berman, where are the opportunities you're finding in this current environment to provide from leads in your team? So let's talk about new business. Like how do we actually how do we prospect for business? So let's say we've been good actually, and we've already gone through all of our old clients. How do we prospect for new business? Okay.
So number one, I would never do any of it until I did exactly what you just said, until I have applied, like I've made my phone calls to all my past database, all of my friends. I do that first because those are going to convert the highest. And those are going to be the easiest conversations to have. So warm up on people that you already know. I was like, dude, if I was, if I was, Andrew, it'd be way easier for me to call you than some stranger, right? So call people that you know first, all right? So once I've gone through my past database and once I've gone through my friends, it might be that for some, that's all you need to do. So don't avoid doing that. That cost of indecision or cost of inactivity is a big thing. So don't fall prey to that. The other way, there's 2 ways that we can do this. You can either go consumer direct, which is very expensive and I find not scalable, and the conversion ratio of the leads are very low. Or we can go with referral partners, which is definitely my preferred method, because each referral partner has on average 300 people in their past database. So when I'm talking to one referral partner, I'm now connecting up with 300 of their people. And so if I want to connect up with 900 people, I just need 3 referral partners, and I'll let the math, work for itself. So for me, like I'd call the referral partners that have referred to you in the last 2 years. So anybody's referred to you in the last 2 years, whether they're referring to you every single week, or whether they referred to you once a year and a half ago and you hadn't heard from them since, even if something went wrong, it's okay, call them up. Another group of people you can call is the listing agents that you have in your pipeline right now. So if you got any deals in your pipeline right now, call the listing agents, right? It's never been easier to connect up with them. And maybe you can call the listing agents of everybody that you've closed in the last 12 months. So I would call the people that's referred to me in the last 2 years and the listing agents of the deals that I've done in the last 12 months. And again, man, simple conversation. The first part would be exactly the same. Hey, Realtor Andrew. Hey, this is Carl over at ABC Mortgage. Hey, Andrew, we worked together in the past, or we're working on a deal now, like whatever it's applicable. And dude, I just call and see how you doing with all this going on right now. Same question. How you doing with all this going on right now? And then shut up and listen, right? Let them answer. And they might say, well, how's it over there, you, Carl? I said, well, it's actually things are going pretty good over here. So Andrew, the other reason I was calling is to see what you need help with. And before you say anything, this is not about me getting a deal or a sales call, or this is about making sure that you close your deals on time. I know a lot of mortgage companies right now are focusing on refinancing. They aren't in a position of closing on time, or even closing at all for that matter. And the reason I want to help you is I do focus on the purchase mortgages, and I do want you to close on time. and I'll be here with you to close any deals to make sure that they get their home and you get your commission on time. It's never been important than right now. Who do you have that I can help you with, Andrew? That's it, right? That's it. And then if you say, well, I don't have anybody right now, because a lot of them don't. Remember, this is not about a cash grab. This is about setting yourself up for the next 6 months, next year. It's like, well, hey, Andrew, I know you don't have any now, but hey, brother, can I count on you to give me a call with your next buyer lead so that I can help you? I'd love to help you, brother. Can I help you out with that? That's it. Some's going to say yes, and some's going to say no.
Yeah. Some will, some won't. So what?
Yeah, simple thing. I can tell you right now, the phone is my number one business tool. Number one business tool. This little bad boy has made me more money than all the other tools put together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny though. We and I've done it too, brother. Bought all these things, invested in all these things, do all this extra work, all this extra labor, trying to just simply dial a phone, than other than just trying to avoid picking up a phone call and making a phone, just dialing a phone. It's the number one business tool. By the way, top producers, it's also their favorite tool. That's how they became a top producer, like in the real estate, for our realtor partners. So they're going to recognize what you're doing and they're going to honor you because of it, because it's what they do.
Yeah.
Right. These people say, well, gosh, tell me something I can do other than calling my past database and calling realtors. Man, it's going to be a tough road for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, but I don't remember where I heard this, but I remember hearing someplace where they said actually that they said it was specifically about CEOs, but I think it applies for everyone, that the two most productive activities is talking on the phone and public speaking. Like those are the two things that you need to master.
Yeah.
So that's now. My dad / Joel just mentioned this, and I'm just going to bring this up. I know you talked about actually a little bit about overcoming the negativity by thinking about the 10 people that you can save. But is there anything actually any other tips or advice, or as my dad calls it, secret sauce that you could share to overcome actually the negativity? Because it's not just about the things that are going on in the borrower's mind, but things that are also maybe going on in our own mind. Knowing actually maybe the mortgage company that we're working for, might have some issues. Knowing that actually that our neighbors, might be sick. All these other things. How do we stay positive? And when we pick up that phone, that money-making tool that we know actually can help us, help our borrowers, and help everything, but we're just thinking about all the doom and gloom around us.
Man, good stuff. So a couple things come to mind, and I'm going to just write myself a couple little notes here so I don't forget them. So a couple things. Number one, and again, I'm kind of time stamping this right now, but right now with all this stuff that's going on, it's like everybody's freaking out, right? You can't participate in that. You can't participate in it. You can't participate in the freaking out. Somebody, the captain of the boat, has to stay calm. Has to stay calm. And by the way, your team members do too. So anybody that's working for your team, they have to calm down too, right? Give them purpose. Tell them, hey, we're here to help people. We got to help people. We got to put our game face on here and help people, right? And what we do, like to keep the morale of the team up, is we break like anything they're working on, we break it into little micro sprints. In other words, like if we're saying, hey, man, this is a great time to be working on my CRM right now, or some large, or I've been wanting to do video marketing. What can I do? And my team is helping me with that, or they're setting up my CRM. Give them like right now, what we do is we're meeting virtually twice a day. We're meeting the first 15 minutes of the day and the last 15 minutes a day using a Zoom meeting so that my team, we're all sitting here face to face. And we ask them a simple question. Say, hey, Andrew, what's your single biggest opportunity today? What's the one thing that you can do today that's going to give our clients the most value? And you're going to say, well, I'm setting up the CRM. Well, that's like a 2-month process, right? So I'd say, all right, cool. What one piece are you wanting to get done today? Well, I'm going to get this part done today. Awesome. So you think you can have that done by this afternoon at 4:45 when we connect back up? Yes, I do. Awesome. So what we do is at the beginning of the day, we give them hope that they're going to do something. And at the end of the day, we have a celebration with them that they achieved that thing. And so that's why we do these in like little quick, simple micro sprints, so to speak. And understand, like, look, the other thing is, I know I'm getting off your topic here, but it's like, man, take care of your team. and yourself. Like, don't be working all these long hours. Don't burn out your team. Understand this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You don't want to win the battle and lose the war, right? This is a long-term thing that we're doing here. So how do you keep a positive attitude? Is focusing on those that you can help. And man, this is going to be a controversial thing I'm going to say, Andrew. And you just asked me an honest question. I'll give you my answer on it. Turn off the freaking news. Turn off the freaking news. Both sides. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. It's all political news. It's just all political, and hell, none of us know what the truth is. And I don't want to get into the conspiracy thing because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to tell you the news is negative stuff. Turn the darn thing off. Turn it off. I promise you, if anything's important enough, you'll hear about it.
Yeah.
So I turned the news off probably about 7 years ago, and I swear the sky's a little bluer, the grass is a little greener, and if something happens, I hear about it. And so I know that's controversial, and I'm not trying to be uncool to maybe one of your sponsors or anything, but I'm just turn the news off. Turn the news off. How can you stay positive when no matter which channel you're? Understand that the news is in business to sell advertising space.
Yeah.
And nothing gathers attention like a good car wreck, right? So people stop to slow down to see, to rubberneck the car. Well, it's the same thing when things are happening. The news is always going to point out the bad part, not because they're bad people. That's what gathers eyeballs, and they're in business to sell soap during the commercials. And so whatever's going to sell the most soap, that's what they're going to do, right? It's just natural. Turn that darn crap off, and you'll be amazed. Listen to positive stuff. I know, Andrew, you got some spare time? Are you going for a walk in the morning? Listen to all these interviews that Andrew does. It's killer stuff, brother. You do, man. You attract the nicest, successful, real, honest people. I listen to stuff you do, man. It's just great stuff. Podcasts. Listen to a positive podcast. We have a podcast, loanofficerfreedom.com is our podcast. And man, we interview people like Andrew that are just knocking it out of the park and bringing good stuff. And we just, listen to positive things, whatever your spiritual belief, if you have one, listen to podcasts, of things that feed you, and hang around with positive people, and positive thoughts will go through your head. Hang out with negative people, you're toast.
Fantastic. So be positive, not COVID-19 positive, but be positive. So, I was going to ask you, and listen, I know you're not here to talk about actually, your offerings, but one of the things you are doing right now, which I think is just awesome, you are giving actually, free access to the materials that most of your clients pay a lot of money for. So man, I appreciate you letting me bring this up, man. So we've got this really cool thing going. We do have paying members in these programs. And the first thing we did is I said, hey, man, I got this idea. A lot of the loan officers and real estate agents, we are what's going to pull this country out of this very difficult economic time. It's going to be the real estate and mortgages is what's going to pull us out of this recession, bump in the road, whatever you want to call it, right? And so I thought, man, we need everybody, we need all hands on deck here. And so I reached out to our paying members and said, are you guys okay if we share some of the trainings that you guys are paying for? Is it okay if we share it with other loan officers for free? And not one dude, I'll tear up thinking about this. Not one person said no. 100% of the people we asked said, dude, this is too valuable not to share. So what we're doing is, if you go to loanofficersurvivalkit.com, loanofficersurvivalkit.com, you'll go in there and it's a free membership. So there's no credit card, there's no payment info. It's not a trial, it's free. And we're going to do this until we get on the other side of this thing, just to help everybody out. We have a class in there. I think it's like 45, 50 minutes long, on how to have virtual coffee appointments. We have a class in there on what do you tell your real estate agents. We have a class in there about how to use videos. We have sample videos. We have a class in there, how to market during a crisis without looking like a jerk. We have classes in there where we interview top producers. We have a class in there that gives you a simplified version of what's going on to share with your real estate agents. Barry Habib, very generous. I think he gave us like 3 or 4 of his classes that he's held here in recent weeks.
he put those in there. I spoke with Kai McBride the other day. Super nice guy. I've just been a huge fan of Kai's the other day, forever. And I believe he's going to put a couple things in there. So if you go to loanofficersurvivalkit.com, no charge, completely free, just a random act of coolness. The only thing I ask in return is that you actually do it. You actually apply what we're showing you, and then report the results that you're getting to help inspire yet even more loan officers. So help me get the word out, spread this to your friends. And and we're also putting you in a private Facebook group page that we have of like, hey, I just had a borrower ask me this, or I just had a realtor ask me this, or hey, I'm a broker and this wholesale just did this. Does anybody have a better solution right now? So it's just, I tell you, it brings tears to my eyes when I see all what everybody's bringing to the table and how they're contributing. And hey, I'd like to teach a class on this, or I'd like to teach a class on that, or hey, I'm getting ready to talk to a borrower that has this situation. What should I tell them? It's just been a tremendous outpouring. I think we have over 4,000 loan officers just in the last week or two that's gone in there. So I don't know how long. Again, this part of what I do for a living is training. Yeah. And I don't know how long this is not a takeaway thing. I literally don't know how long we're gonna have it open. I hadn't planned that far, but I'm gonna keep it open until we get to the other side of this thing. And then once we get on the other side of this thing and I feel like it's done its job, then we'll turn it off at some point. But for right now, it's totally free, and we'd love to see you in there.
It's loanofficersurvivalkit.com, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, that's great. And by the way, no credit card, right? Like, I don't know if you maybe said that. Yeah, like
trial or anything like that. It's free.
Yeah, I think that's
we built it on our only because it was quickest. We have our regular membership site, so we just built it on that platform because it was already there. And so you put in your name and your email and your phone number. But that's only so they can send you your passwords. So it was quicker and easier to put it on there. We didn't want to just open it up without the passwords, because then you get all these robots and bots and spammers get in there and all this other stuff. Trust me, we've gone down that road in the past. And so that's why we built it on the membership platform. So
fantastic. And by the way, if you haven't already seen, Carl appears weekly on Mortgage News Network for a show that he does called Quick Hits. Quick Hits is basically it's ideas, things that you can do today to increase your business, not for this month, but today. And someone actually asked for the URL again. What is the address?
loanofficersurvivalkit.com. loanofficersurvivalkit.com.
Okay.
See, I was going to call it like Stud Muffin because it was a whole lot easier to spell and it was a shorter URL. But apparently that was already taken, Andrew, by somebody named Berman. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, loanofficersurvivalkit.com. And boy, if you'd post that on some of the group pages and invite your friends, we're finding like the more people that's in there, frankly, the better it is, because we're hearing even more ideas and even better, scripts and whatnot of people, helping other loan officers get through this. So the more that's in there, we have more of a resource to share with everybody. So really cool thing. Fantastic.
All right. So listen, you have a lot of top producers that are either working for you or that are part of your coaching program. Any particular stories that you can talk about that like success stories about how they've had a transformation from just thinking differently about the business?
Man, I hope they don't mind me doing this. One of my favorites is she's become a very dear personal friend of mine, Suzanne Downs. And Suzanne, frankly, did the same thing that I did when I first got in the business. I worked all the time. I think, did we bring her name up earlier?
Yeah, but I want, if you can talk a little bit more about details about her life, because her, and I know you have a lot of life transformations, like Suzanne, but I like the details. If you can share them.
So Suzanne was just a very special person to me, really sharp lady in West Palm Beach, just a fantastic person, great loan officer, but just a great person. And like all the time, she had commented that she'd never taken a vacation, that she'd go on vacations. And like I did too, she would say things, hey, you kids go play on the beach. Mommy's going to make a couple phone calls, and present, but not there. You know what I'm saying? Like there, but not present actually. And I think she was closing like, I don't remember. And this off the top of my head, I think 7 loans a month, something like that. She's now closing like 20, 30 loans a month. She takes a vacation once a month. So once a month, she takes a vacation now. And I had the honor of meeting a couple of her daughters. She brought them to one of our, we call them Freedom Club events, where we all meet and share ideas. And, all of our members, we get together and hang out for 2-3 days. And we did one in Puerto Rico, and I met a couple of her daughters there. Her daughters now have, now we're going back like 5-6 years, that her daughters now are actually, I know one of them for sure is working in the business with her.
Oh, wow.
And she's teaching her daughters how to be, leaders in the community. And I don't have permission to share Suzanne's income, but it's substantial and it's remarkable. And so she's literally out there changing lives. Another guy just came to mind, Wes Oliver. Him and his business partner John they were doing okay. They were like, I don't know, same thing probably. And again, just off the top of my head, 12, 13 loans a month, which is
respectable.
Good. Yeah, respectable. Yeah. But dude, working all the time, like never coming up for air, all stressed out. And if you look at Wes now, I don't even know what his numbers. It's got to be like 40 loans a month. And dude, at 5 o'clock, Wes isn't there. He takes most Fridays off, and just learning to leverage his team.
So, what is this? What's the first step? Someone comes to you and they're like, okay, I'm working 15 hours a day. I'm doing, I'm having a level of success, but I can't grow anymore. What's the first step? What's the first step that you had with Wes? What was the first step that with Suzanne?
Great question. So the first thing I always have everybody do is what we call the acts of freedom. And that's spelled AXE, act like you're hatching. Acts of freedom. What do you axe off to give you freedom? So it's like, we take a look at there of you list all the activities that you're doing and all the activities that your team members are doing. So you get a big whiteboard, you put everybody's name across, and you write down all the activities that they're doing. And for most loan officers, their name has the most things under that list that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of loan officers, right, me too, when I first started, they're the only name on the board. Like they're doing everything because they're the only one. And so the first thing I do is I'd ask you, I said, Andrew, what's the number one thing that makes you most your money? Like what's the one single activity that you do? And it's going to be something involved with generating leads, right? It's not the closing of the business, because something had to happen to close that business. Something happened and brought that lead in. It's not going to the closings. Something happened for that lead to come in for you to be able to go to that closing. It's not closing on time. Something had to happen for that lead to come in for you to close it on time. What did you do to cause that lead to come in? And it's typically going to be, one of maybe 3 different activities, whatever it's for you, like referral partners, past database, teaching classes to real estate agents, then following up with those. Those are the activities. Making phone calls, using scripts like what we just gave here. Those are the activity that brings leads in, right? And the problem with most of them, once they get a lead, then they work that lead, then they lock that lead, then they chase the conditions on that lead, then they close that lead, and then they go on to the next one. All that time that they're doing all that other activity, like chasing the leads, chasing the conditions, nobody's out there getting the next lead. Yeah. And so it's a real simple thing. You have to do less to get more. You have to do less on each file, which means like the chasing the conditions, assign that to somebody else, right? And now with this newfound time, go make more sales, go create more leads. I think a lot of people, they just, it's so easy to get involved with I got to close this one, I got to close this one. And they forget while you're doing that, nobody's bringing in the next lead. So if you just ask when I go around the country and doing my conferences, that's one of the questions I ask. I said, what's the number one thing that makes you most your money? And once we narrow that down to one of 2 or say 3 or 4 different activities, I asked, all right, Andrew, how many hours, minutes, if any, did you spend doing that activity? Not the getting ready for it, the actual doing of that activity. How many hours, minutes, if any, did you do that last week? You know what the average answer is when I ask that across the nation, Andrew?
I'm scared. Oh, jeez. It's a round number.
0, because they're so busy putting out the fires all day long. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's and even at best, it's like 2 hours a week. So if you're doing that activity 2 hours a week and closing 5 loans a month, Well, if we want to get you to 10, we just need you to do that activity, not 2, but 4 hours a week. How do you do that? Delegating off some of the other activity to somebody else. You've got to look, you write checks you write small checks to cash big checks. You're not going to bypass that. That happens every single time. And so you gotta take a leap of faith, hire somebody to help you out. And like if I like Andrew, if you're my branch manager and you've already got some help, dude, I ask to borrow some of your help. Now I might have to give you some more of my bips, right? So I might have to give up 25 bips to get more help. But dude, like a huge mistake loan officers make, or everybody makes, right? I did early in my career is I was so busy trying to get 100% of the grape that I was forgetting 50% of a watermelon. You don't want 100% of a grape. You want 50% of a watermelon. Mm-hmm. And so if I need to give up a few bips so I can get help, I'll make more money overall because I close a lot more deals. Yeah. Right. So, and I'm just going to throw out some numbers here. If I'm getting 5 deals and getting 175 basis points, I'll make more money if I'm doing 10 deals at 125. And those are just, we're not talking about bips here today, but just an example. Give up a few bips, get some help, close more loans, do less work, and likely do more of the stuff that causes less stress, right? Calling on referral partners doesn't cause stress. What causes stress is chasing the conditions. Give that part up. Let somebody else that's amazing at that, let them do that.
You know, that's my next thing I was going to ask you, which you just answered, is because we're talking about actually, you know, the people that are already doing, you know, 10, 15 loans a month, you already have actually, you know, enough resources that you can afford to hire someone, even if it's just part-time. But like, you know, the people that are just starting, you know, that are, you know, only doing like, you know, 2-3 loans a month, you know, they're struggling more. But like you said, actually, you know,
Andrew, they still need help.
Yeah.
And so what I would do if I was closing 3 loans a month, I'd look for somebody else that's closing 3 months a month. Like I'd probably look for 2 other people that were closing 2 or 3 loans a month.
Wow.
And hire an assistant to work with all 3 of us. And then as my business started to increase, then they would need to go get their own. You say, Carl, how can I build my business without getting help? You're not going to.
Yeah.
You're not going to and sustain a life. Right, because it's you want, you know, we have financial freedom, which is having the money that you want. We have time freedom, which is having the time to spend the money to do what you want, and we have relationship freedom, which is being who I want to, you know, being with who I want to be with, having the time to do it, and having the money to do it. And that's what you want to do is you want to have all 3 of those. You look, there's no bigger failure than making a bunch of money and still not having freedom. That's the epic failure. Been there. Epic failure. Worst in my life. I was happier broke and free than rich and chained up, like working all the time. It was the most miserable part of my life by far. And so so it's not a choice. Understand that money and time is independent of each other as long as you're leveraging. Right. So it's independent. I used to think if I want to make more money, I have to spend more time. If I want to make more money, I have to do less. Because there's no way last month I got paid on like 600-700 loans, right, for the month. There's no way I could do that if I was doing, of course, if I was doing everything, no way.
Yeah.
You know, no way. So the only way I could do more is to do less. I know that sounds like a fairy tale, but it's impossible to do more with you still doing everything. You got to get help. Acts of freedom, first thing. Acts of freedom, yeah. But we'll once they get into the loan officer survival kit, we're going to be talking in depth about just these kinds of things.
Fantastic. I'm gonna throw that out. Oh, but by the way, I mean, this is just priceless, right? Did I get that right? It's not about return on investment, ROI. It's cost of inactivity, right? Did I get that right? That's I mean, this, like, that to me says so much about actually what we're dealing with right now. It is very easy, you know, as we're sheltering in place, to get, you know, stuck in, you know, house projects and doing all the things because you have the time. But these are do not waste it. Make those phone calls. Call actually, you know, your past database. Do everything you said. That you know, you have that perfect script that you described in here already. You know, just call, feel around.
Actually do it.
is everything how are you dealing with everything? Don't go towards negative town. Mention the opportunities. I think that's great, Carl. There's just so many great little scripts and text messages that you do, and obviously on Quick Hits we have the pleasure of actually of capturing that every week. Like there's the 9-word text message.
You got a lot of good stuff on the Quick Hits. I have to tell you, and I don't want to single anyone out, because I watch it Quick Hits with all the other guests that you have all the time. It's some really great stuff on there. But I have to tell you, man, there's a special place in my heart for the Mortgage Godfather. I just love that guy. He's truly, and they're all great. So I'm not trying to pick favorites here, but if you twist my arm, Mortgage Godfather, he's just, I really like that dude, man. I've met him in person. He's just very charming, really sharp guy. So you've got some great guests with great, every week that video that you send out, there's some phenomenal ideas in there. It really is. Yeah. And I've swiped I've borrowed quite a few of them. So it's really good stuff.
Yes, we're blessed to have a great actually host of characters on there. So, all right, listen, we're almost at an hour here. I apologize for taking so much of your time, but I just likewise, and I just feel that there's so much to learn off you. I hope actually if you're watching this that you've got a little bit of information, something actually to something to make your phone calls with, to remain positive, thinking about actually, the great opportunities. I keep saying this, and you're gonna, if you hear me, it's that your actions over the next 6 months are going to determine your income for the next 10 years. And there's no question about it. There are people that are separating from the herd right now, that are just taking the bull by the horns and really doing everything they can to be leaders, helping actually their community, doing everything that whatever, because our communities are going to need help. And it's not now, it's going to be in the future. There's going to be a lot of people that are going through some pain and hurt, and you need to be there for them. And you need to also be there for your borrowers that are going to need you to guide them, because we're going to Carl, I know actually you stay away from the news, but I'm sure actually you agree with that this is going to be, when we get on the other side of this is going to be a phenomenal year, as it was already started to be.
Dude, it's a phenomenal year now. Again, so when I call some of our members, they're literally having their best months ever. Like literally right now, right in the middle of all this, by simply taking action, right? By doing those things that we've talked about in here. Look, my final statement here. Look, when all this started going down, did I get afraid? Hell yeah, I got afraid, man. I puckered up like everybody else. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? My health, my business, everything. I was scared. But here's the thing. So understand that there's no courage without fear. Everybody that has courage means they felt fear and pushed through it. There is no courage without fear, right? And so what I've learned to do is channel your fear to get off your butt and do something. And that's exactly what I did, right? Channel your fear, get off your butt and do something, right? Don't instead of the fear hiding in the corner, sucking your thumb, curled up in a fetal position, which is my natural instinct, by the way. I refuse to do that because I'm not going to participate in that. So channel the fear, get off your butt and do something. So I appreciate you, my brother.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. We really, really appreciate so tomorrow we have tomorrow is Mike Tedesco. On Thursday we got Glenn Stearns. Then next week we have Christina Beckwith. We have Dave Luna coming up, and Dave Schroeder from Caliber. So please actually stick with us. We appreciate you joining us. Share these. Make sure actually that your colleagues know that we're doing these. We do them every day, Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. New York time. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Bye-bye, everybody.